Hi, I'm Gabrielle Rawson. I'm your host. You're watching Cape Media News. I'm here today with Chris O'Donnell, who's the business manager of IATSE Local 481, which is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, Moving Picture Technicians, and Artists and Allied Crafts, representing more than 100,000 technicians and craftspeople who work behind the scenes in the entertainment industry in the United States and Canada. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you.
So the Massachusetts Production Coalition held a virtual legislative briefing on Wednesday to discuss the economic impact of filming in our region, specifically citing the show Castle Rock, which brought millions of dollars to our area. Can you talk to us about the economic impact of that show?
Sure. So we wanted to pick one production to really dig down and take a look at the expenditures in the state and the kind of impact that would have on the state and statewide impact it would have. And we chose Castle Rock Season 1 because Castle Rock Season 1, well, for two reasons. One was that it was the first episodic series that the state had seen produced in Massachusetts in over 25 years. And the other is that it was an example of the growing trend, which we have seen since then, of episodic series produced for streaming services, which has become a huge part of the production, television and film production industry in both in Massachusetts and nationally. So we had a firm in Cambridge do an economic impact study of that Season 1, which was in production for about a year between 2017. And what we found was the production spent about $42 million, and that the economic impact of that was for basically every dollar that production spent, they had an additional $64 in economic impact across the state. What the study also showed was that there were 210 cities and towns across the state, which is well more than half in the Commonwealth, that receive spending from the production either in payroll or in vendor spending to businesses. So that also confirmed what we knew about this program, which it really does have a very large impact, a big footprint.
When you talk about the economic impact, you're talking about money that's spent in the region in restaurants, in hotels, I'm guessing even purchasing props and hiring actors and hiring craftsmen. What kind of economic impact has the program had on the Cape and Islands specifically?
So there's been the program started in 2006, and I think there's been about 20 productions that have shot in the Cape and Islands in that period of time. One example is The Finest Hours, which was based in the South Shore, but did spend some time, I believe, in Chatham shooting. But they also sourced a lot of things on the Cape and Islands. So in that production, we know that the production bought goods and services from about 1,300 businesses in the state of Massachusetts. 140 of those businesses were actually in the Cape and Islands, because even if they only spent a week shooting in Chatham, there's a lot of economic activity that goes in prior to shooting. You've got, sometimes hundreds of people down there prepping a scene for weeks on end. They're going to local businesses, they're buying lumber, they're going to the hotels, they're going to the restaurants. So they start having a significant economic impact in that region.
One of the goals of your virtual session was to highlight the importance of the film tax credit. Obviously, this is also one of the reasons that films would want to be filmed in our region. Tell us more about this credit, why it's vital, and when it's set to expire.
So the film tax credit program, Massachusetts has one. There are probably, I'm guessing it's around 35 states have programs that provide for tax credits for film and television and streaming production. Massachusetts has a relatively competitive program, so we do attract a fair amount of production. And we also have great crews, we have great locations, and quite frankly, a lot of those producers and studios keep coming back because they want to come back and they want to produce more content here, and they have relationships with a lot of the vendors and a lot of the crew here in the state itself. So they want to come back and produce more. And we compete with Georgia, New York, and Pittsburgh, and other places that have those tax credits. If you don't have a tax credit program, you don't get the production, period. This program is set to expire at the end of 2022, which seems like a long way away. But in reality, because we've had so much production and so much of the content being produced right now, and quite frankly, there's a huge pent-up demand for that content right now because we've all been sitting at home for the last 7 to 8 months consuming it. There is, those episodic series, which there seems to be more of, they want to plan 1, 2, 3 years in advance.
I know a lot of legislators have signed on supporting the continuation of this credit.
The law currently
What would
right
you
now
say?
ends the program in 2022.
Right.
Sunsets in 2022. We're trying to get that sunset removed so the program just goes on forever.
Yeah.
We're still going to try to get that done in this legislative session. We're still going to try to get done possibly in the budget because they still don't have a budget for this fiscal year. So we're going to try to do it in that. And, I think, having people know who their state senators and know who their state rep is, because I think a lot of the reasons that so many of those legislators support the program in some way or another is because they hear from their constituents who work in the industry or who have family who work in it or who have businesses that are in it. And I really think that's critical in being able to, read the report and being able to articulate what it is that's so important about it, both personally for them, on a statewide basis. And I think I'm hoping that the next opportunity we have to kind of mobilize people to do that again is around the budget, which could happen fairly soon after the election.
I want to thank you so much for being here. If people want to learn more, where can they access the economic impact report?
It is, you can access it on the Massachusetts Production Coalition website. I believe there's a link to the report there. And I would encourage anybody to read it because it really does show the economic impact of one production. And, as I said in the briefing, that was one production of many that year. And they all have that level of impact. So I really do encourage people to read it.